So why are heavier board games like this so much more difficult to table than other games? So I was at a Brother Wise event yesterday, and it was really cool because I got to talk to a bunch of other gamers and designers and even like animators and everything. And I thought a really cool conversation came up where people weren't getting their games played because it was too heavy, but they were excited about it because they're really big box games, like giant Kickstarters that arrived. It just sits there in the garage or wherever the game room is, and it just never gets played. But I got through all of my heavy games. And I think one big barrier to that is just having so many. So before we get into the trick of like how to get heavy games played, I want to hear from you. Because ultimately, right now my question is, what prevents you from playing heavier games? I know for me, for sure, it's wondering what the payoff is going to be. Because the last thing I want to do is learn super heavy game, you spend all this time learning rules, and then you don't see where that payoff phase is. So that's a big one for me. It's like figuring out, is this game worth the payoff, even though I have it currently in my collection? And then ultimately, I always try to get a gameplay before I even get rid of it. But that's one big hurdle for me. The second hurdle, I would say, is probably just being able to sit down, have time to learn a heavy rulebook. Because that's why all the other games get played, since the other games are like much less effort, right? Open a box, you have a 5 to 10 page rulebook, easy peasy, mango squeezy. And the third reason for sure that I had a problem with before and why I couldn't even get games played, and this is probably the most surface level reason, but it's true, and that is there wasn't enough table space. Because I'd have to like set up a game and then put it away, and then we're eating dinner. Or I set up a game and I have to film another one, and then you can't do all that on the same table. So the real estate that we use for heavier games is a big deal. Today we are making some delicious mango, I think it's a smoothie, huh? It's actually a marinade for some mango lime chicken. That's gonna be so bomb, one of my favorite recipes. So then for me, like my trick to ultimately getting these heavier games played, because I have to do it all the time for work and for play, step one is to literally take it out and put it on the table. There was a study done, or there was like some kind of thing that I overheard from the internet somewhere where someone showed that if you just take that first step, it will make you more inclined to keep going. That's what works for me, just taking it out and putting it on the table. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh, okay, I was gonna do the next one. Open the box, take the rule book, and then, okay, let's do the next one. Let's just do setup for now. And I kind of just get into the zone from there. Now, the second thing, and one that also overlaps with things that I've mentioned before, especially when learning a new game, is breaking down the rulebook. Because I never, very rarely ever, sit down and learn a heavy game all in one sitting. For me, I usually like to break it up in parts. So if it's like a 50-page rulebook, I'll try to aim for like an even number, 10 pages a day. And then in 5 days, I will learn the game. Unless like, of course, there are deadlines or I want to learn it faster before the weekend, which is usually the case, then I'll break it up and do like 20 pages a day or something, or 15 pages a day. However you want to break it up for the amount of time that you need. We're all gamers, right? So we all love some form of indicating progress. And if you're able to complete that said progress, then of course it's gonna make you more inclined to get those heavy games tabled. Oh man, that's bomb. Go ahead and use some prime examples instead of me just waving it around the air, and tell you exactly how I learned a lot of these heavier games. So here's one, Bantam West. That one took a while to learn because it has so many things going on. It is only a 17-page rulebook, but there are a lot of little details. And when you have an open world game like that, it helps to break it down into structure, because like I say this every single time, and I'm gonna continue saying it because it is, for me, the easiest way to learn a game. And that is, what am I doing on my turn? So once you introduce linearity, even in an open world scenario, there always is some kind of linearity. Like, yes, I have 4 different options on my turn. I can move, I can buy stuff, I can upgrade equipment, I can do all these things, but there's always linearity in any of those things. So if I were to move, okay, here are all the details with travel. If I were to travel from tile to tile, I have to keep in mind that I have to reveal an event card deck. I have to look at where those lines are connecting to see where I can move. And then I also have to take into account the villains or like the opponents that are moving after my turn is over. So introducing linearity in heavier games helps a ton to getting them played. Let's use another example. Scythe, that's a super good one because that one can play up to 7 players, which I have done before. And in a group where it wasn't like everyone was familiar with games, but they weren't playing heavy games at the time. Scythe is a great example because now you're teaching 7 players exactly what they can do on their turn. How did I manage to get a game like that to the table for 7 brand new players? Well, what I did actually was I bought, well, I didn't buy it. I had 2 of those 6-foot tables that we use for parties, the $20 tables you can get from like Walmart or something. So connected those 2 tables, put like a linen cloth over it. So now there's this huge table space that we can all use. And I set up every single player's PlayStation before they even got here. So you remove barriers to learning. And one big barrier to that is for players to feel overwhelmed. One way they feel overwhelmed is if you don't have anything set up and everyone arrives, all the gamers arrive, and you're there setting up everything one by one. That's already gonna feel overwhelming and no one's gonna wanna play after watching you set up all these individual pieces. So what I do is I completely remove that barrier, and the table this, I have everyone's PlayStation set up. All they do when they get here is that they get ready to have fun by just choosing their player color. And then from there, when I was teaching the game, I just taught 1 action at a time. Okay, quick side note, look at this beautiful rulebook, hardcover, everything, all the expansions in one. How beautiful is that? So typically for a game like this, we would spend time and teach everyone all the rules all at once so they know exactly what to do on their turn. But one way I kind of switch this up is I just focus on 1 action, have them perform it on their turn, and then do the next action. For Scythe, what I did was, okay, here's how you move. You take one of your little token player pieces, put it on this section here, and then this is how you can move in the game. And then once everyone did a move action, afterwards I went to the next one. Okay, so now you did your top row action. In this game, you have to do top row and then bottom row. So then you go to the bottom row action, this is how you upgrade, and then this is how you pay. And then I have everyone going around doing one thing. You do that, and then once all the actions are introduced, next thing you know, everyone's playing their turn and they're taking actions out of turn. And you kind of like trick them a little bit because you think that, oh, we're just doing a practice round. But then rarely, very rarely do they ever want to just restart. They just want to continue playing the game, see how it is. And it was such a fun 7-player game. So that's one way to get a game this heavy tabled for a huge player count that, is full of beginner gamers. All right, now let's use by far, the most extreme example. Root. I taught this game to 8 players during a Christmas gaming session that we had last year, 2 years ago. And this is crazy because people that came to a game night were not gamers. I'm talking like they were playing Monopoly, they were playing Sorry, maybe they might have played One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Like that was the level of complexity that they got. So let's answer, I've been kind of mixing this video into like 2 different meanings of tabled. One meaning of tabled, meaning how you get these heavier games onto the table and like just start learning them. And the second one, which I kind of mixed in here, and the second version, this was like, how do I get this played? So it's like a 2-fold answer to this. But in that scenario where I taught 8 players how to play Root, this is by far the craziest example, okay? So what I did was had everyone's player boards set up. I also only used the base factions because these were the ones that I knew the best at the time. So you want to also stick to ones where you have the most expertise in for teaching new players. And then to convince them to play a game like this, I told them like, this game's easy. Of course, we all know here that Root is not an easy game. Root is the most asymmetric, one of the most asymmetric games ever. So everyone's doing something different. But what I love about this game is that even though everyone's doing something different, we're all ultimately trying to score and win this game in a different way, yet there are a lot of similarities because everyone has a bird song, everyone has a daylight, and everyone has an evening phase. So what I did was I started off with the cats because they are the easiest faction to learn. And then also, once people start seeing, oh, this is the kind of the rhythm that we're going from, phase 1, 2, and 3, which I never called that. I just said, this is what you do first on your turn. So then the very first person I taught, I went to them and I was like, hey, I'm gonna make this super simple for you. Are you gonna do your turn? Look, step 1, place 1 wood. You're gonna take 1 little wood chip and put it at the sawmill. Done. I was like, see, it's easy, right? And then it's just guiding players to learn in a subtle way. So then I was like, okay, let's see what you do next. Step 2, you can craft. Here's how crafting works. And I'm talking to everyone around the table. So everyone has a different way of making things. I don't always use the terminology in the game for new players because you don't want to introduce too many new things. So I'm like, here's how you make stuff. You have cards in your hand and you want to make some tools. To do that, for the cats at least, they're going to use their workshops. You actually have 1 workshop right now, but in your hand, you don't have any cards that you can make just yet. So let's skip that one for now. And then we go to the next one. Okay, now you do 3 things on your turn, which is super cool. Let's have you first figure out how to move in this game. So then everyone learns this one where, okay, when you move from 1 clearing to the next clearing, it's attached by paths, and so on. So it's guiding everyone step by step and just introducing them subtle new concepts along the way using little to no terminology. And then keeping, ultimately, we do all this, why? So they can have fun, right? One way they can have fun is when they feel like they're doing a lot on their turn. So once you guide the first player through it, the second player already knows some familiarity. And then we get to the second person. And here's where also I think storytelling elements are a really important factor here, because then I'm like, okay, unlike the cats, you're completely on the opposite end here because you only have 6 troops and you have an empire to build out. So let's figure out how to march your birds from here and here and start destroying things and just keeping things very entertaining, because ultimately you just want people to have fun. And the way they have fun is by giving them creative decisions, making things easy, and making it light overall, despite how heavy the board game can be. So all in all, the trick to getting heavier games played, heavier games tabled, is to ultimately, 1, get it out on the table, bring the box out, and start taking things out. Don't even think about it. Just pick a game, take it out, and then see where life takes you from there. Because once you start getting that setup down, everything is just gonna fall into place. Tip number 2, work on that setup, open the rulebook, and just try to set some kind of goal. So if you have a 50-page rulebook divided by 5, you only have to do 10 pages a day. And out of those 10 pages, 6 might be actual rules because the rest is intro or just some introductory concepts, table of contents, what have you. And then lastly, if you're trying to teach people how to play, keep it simple. Ultimately everyone is there for one reason and one reason only. That is to A, spend time together, and B, have fun. You can have fun by removing those obstacles to fun, like getting the setup done before they get there and making sure that what you're teaching is as simplified as possible. Not too many steps, even if it's a heavy game. Keep it as simple as you can. Honestly, every game can kind of be taught as you play. It just depends on your group and how open they are to learning. So adapt to your group, see what works best. And if they're the type that wants to learn everything at once, then just teach things in simplistic terms and add in that terminology for the game specifically as you go on. But if they are like my gaming group and they're open to learning as you go, then teach them one thing at a time and make sure they do it. Physically doing that action is what really makes everyone learn a lot faster versus, hey, here's action 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here are all your possibilities. Do whatever. Instead of that, just have them do one action. Let's figure out how movement works first. Let's figure out how you can buy stuff. Let's figure out how you can get weapons. Put all that together and you are set up for success. Anyways, I'm about to pull out some chapter specific stuff for my party of 4 here, my solo game of Oathsworn tonight. Hope you all enjoyed today's vlog and found it helpful in some way. If you made it here to the very, very end, go ahead and comment. You know what? I want to know, not the game that you want to table next. No, I want to know the next game that you are going to table next because of this. So drop that in the comments below if you made it here, and I'll see you on the next one.